Assalamu alaikum and greetings to all of you wherever you are. Once again, we are back on Gunjur Online TV to discuss issues, about our country and other issues as always. Once again, we are here and we are so grateful to you for your time, for your energy, and your patience to listen to us. Sometimes it might be boring, sometimes, but we need to have discussions about issues that affects us. I think that is why we can pass on historical, educative, topics, or civic education to our young people, and we can carve out a way for our country and for ourselves, and we can help to educate each other and challenge each other's conscience so that we can have a better society, we can have a better country. Once again on Gunjur Online with your host Ebrima Scattred Janneh, and we have our guest, who is not new to Gunjur Online. This guy, if everything is down, sometimes when you are down, sometimes when you are doubting about the progress and the good things that can come from the Gambia, and you see people like Ben Suwareh, and you say, oh my God, there's future, there's something that we can cling to because we have decent people, we have people that sacrifice selflessly, for to see the development and progress of the country, not on anything based on anything, but their determination and their love for that country. We always say we all see Gambia and love Gambia, but certain people clearly manifest that over and over and over again. It does give hope to Gambians. And I'm welcoming this special brother once again to the platform, and we will have a discussion that will challenge you to the core. Welcome to Gunjur Online Dialogue with this youth, so my brother, Ben Suwareh, once again.
Thank you very much, Ebrima, for inviting me again on the Gunjur Online, and thank you very much for your kind words. I am saying hello, good evening to the viewers, and probably good morning to others on the other side of the globe. Thank you very much, Ebrima.
Yes, brother Ben, we are back again, as always, to discuss issues, in never-ending issues that are coming from the Gambia, or albeit sometimes negatively, and definitely any country, there's many issues going on here and there. But sometimes we have more negative coming from our country, and these are not allegations but facts, than any other place. So that's why we are calling for all of us to stand on our 2 feet and speak out and do whatever we can so that we can bring sanity in the Gambia for the benefit of all of us. I know Gambians have the potential to do it. We did it before in an ousted dictator, a brutal dictator. And why not now if the country is not going as we expected? Brother Ben, the problems of our country, that's the Gambia, are quite serious, and we have a trade deficit of 46 million. The budget deficit for 2024 is 4.45 billion. Nearly half of our youth population are unemployed. The value of our dollar is nose diving to a bottomless pit. Inflation is about 11.7%, poverty rate 53.4%. $7.5 billion has been budgeted for debt service. That is about quarter of our budget and equal to our educational budget, health budget, agricultural budget put together. And it seems none of our institutions are working. Is it fair then to say the Gambia is a failed state, or is Gambia is regressing into a failed state, Brother Ben?
Thank you very much, Ebrima. If we just want a simple answer, would be yes. What will guide us into this? Comparison to what? If we look at all the index, and the best index is how people felt about the situation, the cost of living, and see where progress is. Do we see anywhere that we can look at say that this state is progressing? If you look at the state assets, what do we have to say that this is what we own as Gambians, and it's going for? It's growing. If you look at our economy, it's not growing, even though they'll tell you that that's their GDP. But what is the GDP base? If you look at it, then you'll understand that we are not. The reality on the grounds are just the evidence, as you just portray there, is a failed economy. And where there's failed economy, Ebrima, that's a failed state. The state is made of the economy. And the most other part, which is very important of the state, is governance. And we have failed in governance because our form of governance is democracy. And we have witnessed our democracy. I mean, going back to where we came from. What do we mean? What have we registered as a progress? The only thing we register as progress is still that we have that space, we have that those freedoms, but those freedoms are not provided by the state. Those are provided by the people. What the state does is to maintain it. And we have seen continuously the state is trying to erode those freedoms one way or the other. And if we say that the state is trying to do that, it's not only that the state is using the mechanism of force, the police, or the trying to use the justice system. We see the state inducing institutions, to weaken institutions. We have seen and heard the president admit to undermining the judicial, the legislature by bribing MPs. Why does he want that? Because that's a branch that will hold him accountable. This is the counterbalance, separation of powers. Then why does he want to have more power? To himself. And we have seen the evidence of prosecutions or attempted prosecutions due to the outcry, due to being alert, due to Gambians being proactive. This is preventing some of these cases to go through. But we have seen instances the police have abused our rights, arresting people, without any proper reason to hold them for the time duration or little bit over, and before they release them, or they take them to, or they register the case to the courts in order to justify the case to proceed, but the case will never proceed. We still have our brother Madi Jabati. Justice delay is justice denied, because they delay in this process because they don't have a case against him. We have seen the recent case with the Voice newspaper, and sadly, even someone today championing this government, running around behind the president, Modu Sabali, last year this time, he was incarcerated. They tried to frame him for a coup d'etat. We've seen all that. Then the freedoms we talk about, that they want to term as achievement, they are not. They are something they try to erode. These are things we achieve for ourselves, and these are things we should maintain with them. We should maintain with the state, but the state is trying to erode those freedoms. Now, if you look at the economic front, as you stipulated all those tax, you go deeper than that. You ask, where did we put all that money? How much of money have been borrowed in the short period of 7 years? Putting two past governments together means they're putting a 30-year-old, a 22-year-old government, about 52 years. This government have borrowed more than the previous governments have borrowed. This government of 7 years have borrowed far more than what's been borrowed in 52 years. What have they done with this? What have improved? Just now, before coming to the program, I've seen a road in somewhere up country. It's completely flooded. The roads are under it's just like a river. And these are some of the roads they said they were going to put up. They did two things here. They went for political projects. We are not saying that rural communities should not have roads, but they have to be strategic, because there's a way that it complements the economy in order for us to pay it back. We make sure that projects are efficiently handled. To cut off the corruption and everything. But we know that all of these projects are done for the corruption as well. And people around these projects are all been enriched now, but Gambians continue to suffer. The evidence is that corruption, lack of foresight, and we don't even hear this government talk about the national development program anymore. It was only presented to the international community. It was only presented, and then they don't follow it up. Let me stop there for now, Alan.
Thank you, Brother Ben. And definitely it's a concern to Gambians. Whoever is a Gambian and wherever you are, you know things are not going right in the country for the population. If we are looking for your individual interest, probably you think you're doing well and you don't deserve it in a level playing field. That's left to you. But generally, majority of Gambians are suffering. And most of the time, is the decision and the policies that are not fit for purpose and the lack of leadership that we have in the country. So we are discussing about our country. So this is not about the individual who is leading the country, but about the country itself. So let people understand that, Brother Ben, with all the failures that we've talked about, we enumerated, that statistics courtesy to Suwareh anyway, what is the role of opposition parties and what are they doing? Are they doing enough? What are the role of media or mass media? And if they are doing anything to hold the government accountable, are they doing enough? What is the role of Gambians, both educated Gambians and the Gambian as a mass? Because any of the Gambian, whether educated or not, you should have one vote, and that's a powerful token that you can use as a leverage. And what are we doing to put pressure to make the government accountable so that government can be scared of us? They can know that we can take them out of power if they don't deliver for us. All fairness, we see United Democracy, UDP mostly, and few other opposition parties, or one, especially Mama Kande, coming out to raise issues. But are these enough? But not. But these oppositions are not using this as a force. They are very, very divided. We see the opposition leaders in Senegal, what they did, the forcefulness. They came, they research and come out and debunk some of the false narrations continuously. And if need be, they will be in the forefront. Whatever that will cost them, it will cost them, but they will come out and do what they are supposed to do, Ben. So what is the role of our oppositions? Are they doing enough? What is the role of the media? Are they doing enough? And the Gambians as a population to rescue this country from where are we all culpable to the issues that we are raising, or most of us, because of their silence in the face of all these catastrophic failures in the country?
Thank you very much, Ebrima. To be, as you stated, governance is in threefold. We have the public sector, we have the private sector, and we have what we call the civil society. Unfortunately, the entire leadership systems have failed. Why am I concentrated on the leadership? Reforms are leadership led. People are led. We don't aspire to see people to be coming out in masses or in droves to try to force policy. That's always a chaos. What we expect is leadership that directs, that engage, that bring about change through those engagement, discussions, and education. And this is what opposition represents. But this is what civil society should represent. And this is what the press should represent. Then the general public, the people, the general population of the Gambia will follow through these influences. Like we keep on saying, oh, the majority decides. Yes, that's a saying in a democracy, but we know that it's not the choice given to you, but how that choice is dictated. How do we influence that choice? That's why when we talk about elections, we say free and fair. It's not only about elections, but it's because of it's free and fair. Again, it's this thing of saying that, oh, you have given choices, but am I given the information to make a decisive choice? Because again, we have to remember we came out from a dictatorship, but there was something that led us to the dictatorship. It was failure of leadership. And a dictatorship is not a good leadership that we aspire for. We know that things even got worse during the dictatorship. Now, if we come in and achieve the platform for a democracy, Alaji, there was so much work we needed to do. And this is every sector to reform themselves, every sector to equip themselves in order to engage in the democratic space in order to progress the nation. Unfortunately, our trajectory is the minute we brought about the fourth level of change, which is the regime taken out, everything just went into a big confusion, and now we are still in that cumbersome environment that only few people can think of clearly, and I am talking about only few. It's even worse of the educated people who cannot make up their mind or who cannot see with an open mind, look at this country and diagnose it and say, this is how I should contribute in order to move it forward. For instance, there are people still angry about certain things that UDP have done at the beginning. There are such people still falling for the tribal narrative being introduced from the First Republic to the dictatorship, institutionalized in the dictatorship and continued right now. There are people who still cannot comprehend, understand, because politics is not taught and they don't have time. They are lazy to read or to try to learn to understand. What they do is, because of their laziness, they just follow and repeat what has been said. Then you look at the environment. It's only few people that you can rely on to say that they are looking things objectively, and the rest of these people, what are they doing? They are partisans. They only look at something that's that's benefit their party, or that they believe that advance their party's goals, and the rest they will disregard, and there's no consistency in it. And we have the individuals that can jump from one hope to another. We have seen the example of Dr. Cisse, that when he came as an enlightened young man, saying all the right things just in order to use it as a leverage and jump on. We have seen the likes of, which is not disappointing or unexpected, Modus Sabali. Moving the same way. But there are so many other people that might never had their voice have never been heard, but they are playing into the politics of opportunism. This is causing the failure we are. Now, let's bring, as I said, to whom much is given, much is expected. For instance, with the UDP have programs. We are, but if you even ask most of UDP members to tell you their 5-point program or 10-point program, they don't know. They don't know. They have a program. They have a manifesto. And recently, I had someone who advocated for the UDP said, "Oh no, all this manifesto is just for elections. They don't matter." And this is someone who advocates. They don't matter. You see? Now, why am I saying this? Alagi, to bring about change is leadership. Once you fix your leadership up, the second is policy. And that policy has to be communicated, have to be implemented. And if you manage to do that, Alagi, you can bring about change. And the example here is passive. And why do I bring this example? Because we have seen where the incumbent power have even metaphor to become a dictatorship. Guns been used and everything, thousands been incarcerated. There's no other form of repression within a short period of 2 years greater than what have happened in Senegal against one political party, passive. But they did not only win the elections, they win it with an overwhelming majority. How did they do that? It's people keep on thinking it's because of they just came out. No, There's a reason people came out, because they influence people. Why did they influence people? People would, because of their aspirations and their hopes have been translated into policy. And they believe in that policy. People come, not, you see, many people were fighting who never carried the card of PASTEF. But and if you ask them, what did PASTEF stand for? They will tell you the project. You see, they managed to simplify the project. What is the project? Our stolen resources will be kept with us. We are going to put value into our these things. I mean, we have enough resources, and they made them believe that the country have enough resources. In fact, not to depend. They did not say that they are not going to have a relationship with other communities, but not to depend solely on those. If we cut off the corruption, if we diversify, we can do this, we can do that. They've articulated agriculture, how agriculture is going to play. They articulated how they're going to, use the marine resources. You see, these are things they articulate. They articulated about the justice system, things they're going to change about the justice system. They articulated the prudent, when they talk about economic prudence, they articulated it with what austerity measures they're going to put in. This is, we are not going to take these allowances, we are not going to do that, we are not going to do that. And the people empathize. The first people coming out to support PASTEF are the youths. The second are the disillusional people. You see, even to capture the non-formal educated people. If you look at the advocate of PASTEF, are not mainly the intellectuals. People even on the forefront, most of them came from the Dara, Islamic backgrounds. Now they are someone like Serigne Bara. They are the best known analysts, and others and others. This is how it's done. But contrast with what we have with the UDP is just as what we have with all mainstream political parties in Africa. I'm not only picking on this is a mainstream political party problem. That's why PASTEF came out as an anti-establishment. The leadership have to be very proactive. You cannot look at a party and only choose 2-3 executives that you hear from, or 2-3 executives are active, and the party leader. If you don't hear from these people, you don't hear about that party. Or these are the people that will only come and make something out of it. If you find a platform of UDP, they are talking to UDP members. They are not broadening the discussion where others are welcome or others are attracted. There's a strategy to do that. You see, there are things that you have to do that. You see, this is something different with PASTEF. Even if a PASTEF supporter build up a platform, the platform would be open up, not for PASTEF, but it will open up for this thing. And that's where you even see Gambians gravitating towards their platforms. You see, this comes with leadership. You see, because of that leadership, when the entire, nearly entire PASTEF leadership were incarcerated, the party went on. And their leaders released within 2 weeks. Listed 3 weeks, they went to election and won over one. It's because of the party structures are moving well. If you look at the UDP, they have the best structure in the country. They are in every corner. They are good at cascading within themselves, but they are not good at broadening their base. They cascade their message. That's why even up to today, Adam Barrow have spent millions, but still UDP hold on to their base. But you don't win election based on holding onto your base. And the lack of proactiveness of the executive, to come out and deal with or sell the policies. You see, it's not always coming out to react to what Barrow have done wrong. You take the opportunity from there to say what you're going to do right. But because of when they go on to the platform dictates the narrative. If they even go to a UDP platform, the UDP platform dictates the narrative. It's only one line of programming. You see, these are communication. It's a big problem with our political parties. As I said, we started with the UDP experiences, but I mean, let's go to another party that have a program called PDOS. But the same thing, to cascade information. Apart from Halifa Saleh, there's no PDOS member that come to media. If they come to media, they will have to caveat to say that I am speaking on my behalf. How can a party function when people are gagged, or there's a kind of a gagging, or whatever it is that the programs cannot be explained? For Halifa to come around to speak about the programs and go away for another 3-4 months, coming back, that not change anything. Recently, he addressed the programs of PDOIS. I mean, those programs should have been with the people by now. But who are there to cascade this information? You see, because most of the time, most of the people who are to cascade the information, they are busy again, distracted, just as the UDP opposing the opposition, rather than selling ideas. You don't even have a platform or on social media today, and social media is key. Even mainstream broadcasters now are fighting to have hold on social media. Now, a political party without even a platform with this, how can you sell this information? And people think that it's only us who can read and write on social media. No. Social media is far-reaching. Remember that these WhatsApps are part of the social media. Content are created in many areas to disseminate through WhatsApp and other areas, and people are getting that this thing. You go to villages and everywhere else, people are listening to WhatsApp audios. But what are they listening to? Information, content being created, but that content, it's not giving them hope. It's adding up to, oh, the country is bad, or this thing is bad, Barrow have done this bad. What are you going to do different? Especially something directly affecting me. You see, it's the same issue with Mama Kande. What else do you know? I mean, this is, you see, communication is an art. Communication goes with a strategy. You can have the best content, but if you don't know how to communicate it, it won't get to where it should be. And I can say that this is the difference we have. That's why passive money. And you see, once you have the leadership and the policy, everything else will come in place, even the resources. Why do you think people were selling in markets, contributing to passive fundraising?
Yeah,
because they believed in a project. They believed that I should invest in this in order for change. Children were going out, and they were not stopping their children to go out, knowing that there's risk of them being killed or be arrested, because they believe that they are fighting for their freedoms. You see, this is very important for us to bring about change. There are so many issues, but for Lawyer Dabo to come out and talk about the Chief Justice property, what did Barrow do? Deflect by making it about Lawyer Dabo and UDP. And the rest, some of the other political parties would be happy, thinking that, oh, it's attacking UDP, or it's attacking Lawyer Dabo. They are not looking at the content. What was Lawyer Dabo talking about? This is something affect all of us. You see, every other person is running around, but as you said, the togetherness here is not about coming together even to form a coalition. Togetherness is as an opposition to know how to impact. Opposition, how to know how to strategically approach the situation. This is something we have to learn as opposition. You see, this is where the difference comes. I mean, if you come to the civil society, technically it's dysfunctional. Most civil society are only active where they can generate activity to get funding. It's not that they genuinely want to impact change in something. They come with activity, elections is coming, let's do some activity. This issue is happening. Look at the the female genital mutilation. It was so hyper. But I can tell you millions were pumped. But now everybody's gone out there. But where are those movements going out there to teach the independence of our young girls? You see, female genital mutilation is an awful thing. It's a controversial thing to do. But we have to educate and continue to educate. We just don't jump because of we have certain people sending funding to us. You see, and there are so many other important things to do. I mean, look at teachers will be crying out, but you never see teachers union coming out. And we have a black teachers union. You think if they were organized communicating, the government would not take heed?
No, they will take it seriously.
Alone cannot do it. Opposition alone cannot do it. Teachers are everywhere. They have influence. They have this thing. If they started to demand the respect, these things the government will do it because the government have the resources. They choose to divert it to do what they want to do. Nurses are complaining. Healthcare workers are complaining. Why do you think here United Kingdom things are working in certain ways? In fact, it's because of the public sector unions. To the extent of deciding elections, the Labour Party cannot win an election without the unions. They need their money. They need their support. And then if anybody thinks that unions are not supposed to be part of politics, they don't understand politics. Labour Party was formed by unions. When unions realized that the only time our voice can really be heard, we have to have a political representation. Then there's nothing stopping us from organizing on all sectors. And finally, as you said, for the moral citizen, Ebrima, we have to be very careful. I don't want to say unknowingly. Probably unknowing to some people, they have become tribalists because of not realizing the influences that got to them. The system, tribalism has become a system, a mechanism to control. It's not to benefit any individual tribe, no. It's to benefit patrons, people who are using it, employing it for their own gains. Because there's no Gambian who can represent their tribe interests. Because any Gambian belongs to different tribes. We have our nephew, niece, or whatever it is. And as times are even going now, it's difficult to find Gambian with two parents of the same tribe. That is even technically going out of fashion. And nobody can guarantee who next your son or daughter is going to fall in love to or get married. And any sensible person would know that if anything happens to this household in my street, regardless of who they are, being Christian, Muslims, or Mandinka, or Jola, or Fula, it's bound to influence me. If these people do good, and their children do good and anything, if I'm their neighbor, I'm bound to benefit from it. But if they have vagabonds and everything in the household, they're bound to disturb me and this. We all know that. But if we know that and become tribalist, it's because of we've been influenced by prejudices. We've been influenced by anger. We've been influenced by reacting to orders. At times, it's a reaction. You think that you need a mechanism to deal with Ebrima. But Ebrima does not represent his tribe. Ebrima does not even represent his extended family. We are all from extended family. And we all hold views completely different from our brothers and sisters. But then if you think that you are reacting to Ebrima by being tribalist or showing any spewing out any rhetoric that is tribalist, it's on you. But it doesn't progress us. We will have our disagreements. It's challenging. But what we always think of, where is the greater good? You don't have to belong to these political parties, or if you belong to a political parties, other political parties should not even be your enemy, not even the NPP. But what you do is to be civil and to have your disagreement and to be tolerant. And remember always, within a community there are idiots, and don't let those idiots to dictate how you behave.
Thank you so much, Brother Ben. Once again, as we always know, we are with our brother Sulayman Ben Suwareh, and anytime his energy and his drive to see good in the Gambia. and B, only putting his eyes on the Gambia and the Gambia alone is just unbelievable. And that's why he deserves the respect and the trust that he has, and Gambians all over the place, whether what he said you disagree or not, definitely will listen to Ben. Brother Ben, these things is so important. I think the whole issue of leadership is not understood, or deliberately we are just casting it away. Because as you say, you cannot have one or two or three people and say that's a leadership. You have to have, myriad of people that any one of them, if you are not there, somebody somewhere can pick it up and lead as expected as anybody else can, according to. And people need to be educated about the party's policies, They don't only need to know the songs and the dancings, but they need to know. But the thing is, there's a lot of things that are happening in the Gambia. And our media and our educated people and sometimes our politicians, they can easily be bought, Brother Ben. What is this to us? What happened to Gambia? Because we see if Sonko and Jumai, if they want to get bought by Senegalese government, Macky Sall will have given them everything that they need for them to give way. But they saw Senegal. And at the end of the day, whatever is happening in Senegal, I train with Senegalese in the gym. You can see the cockiness of the arrogance in them, because their leaders are taking them to another level that they don't even unimaginable to them. Even though they know the program, they know the project, but they didn't think they can take them to this level so far. But Gambians and their medias are being both politicians, individual who we expand, and this is not it's not about poverty. Those who have been bought are influential people. These are people that at least can manage at Gambian level, but they just get bought, and what the country is going is affecting everyone. So your analysis is spot on. I wish all the political parties can come and assess themselves. How can we educate the general public, even if we are not in power? But these people will be educated enough to the extent that nobody is going to fool them in future. Like what is going, and that's to be the role of our media. But the media is catastrophically ineffective. I'm not saying every one of them, I mean collectively, in order to hold the government accountable. Thank you, Alaji Fodali Jaju, and all those who are listening and contributing. Thank you for your time. Your time. We really, really appreciate your time. And if you could can share the program so that it can reach to people as much as possible. Brother Ben, after many challenges for the PPP government, I mean, the Arab embargoes in the 1970s, the great famines in Africa in 1980s, the economic recovery, ERP, and all the challenges, transition, the lack of educatedness, when they took power, they went beyond most of these things, But but 1990s, everything started stabilizing and brought about a lot of infrastructure development as Gambia prepare for prosperity. Unfortunately, the trajectory of our nation took a different turn in 1994 when the military took over. But even though, despite Janneh, with all his shortcomings under the infrastructural work, most of the infrastructural work that he did were internationally funded. And our debt, however focused, it was manageable. It was manageable because, he reduced, domestic borrowing as much as possible. But Barrow came in and take another turn. He focused on expanding the infrastructural base. But downside of his ambition was that the funding, of these projects were mostly local or private or whatever. That's the Gambian local funds. Do you think, Barrow has planned to entrench himself continuously by taking Gambian for granted that once you give them the infrastructure development, everything is okay for them? And our desire for rapid development grow over national debt stock, our desire to develop infrastructure, because I saw his interview and he said it's infrastructure. It has to be infrastructure. Do you think, the problem that we are in today, the $7.5 billion, that were not there Jammeh time, because Jawara time and Jammeh time, both of them together, Barrow sought 7 years as double all of them. Is this as the result of Barrow's greed, to stay in power, or his desire for rapid development so that Gambians can be full and say, this is what he said. It's all about development. And now we can see that is happening, that is playing in a way. What is your thought about this, Brother Ben?
Thank you very much, Ebrima, for bringing that perspective. Let's come to how you presented from Jawara days.
Yes.
You see, economic prudency is a great thing to have. Now, I am not saying there was no corruption in the Jawara administration, and there's corruption everywhere. You see, even the stiffest countries like Singapore, recently the transport minister was incarcerated for taking bribes.
Yes.
They are. But what you do is control. That's where the complacency happened. In many instances, areas, Jawara failed to act, not because of he was, benefiting directly, but because of the political system we have, the patron system we have. He could not punish those people. And once you don't punish people doing something wrong, you are fostering corruption, and that's what problem became. But let's concentrate on the economic programs. You see, from independence, if you follow the trajectory of Gambian development, we inherited nothing for that matter. People have to understand that. And as you said, unfortunately, around that time, there were so many things that happened globally that have really affected small Gambia. We are not very much connected. There's the crash of '89. There's so many depressions and so on. And I mean, 7 years of drought, the locust invasions, and there are so many others. Just as there will be always in this thing. But one thing happened is they had a program, and they tried to usher that program by putting things in place. To cut it short, let me just give you 3 areas that they have introduced. The port of Banjul was just a small port. Port of Banjul was mainly for what the colonials needed and a little bit for what we need. When the Jawara government came, turned it to be part of the backbone of the economy from agriculture. We all know agriculture. You can say we inherited the ground or whatever it is, but by bringing in the transit trade, which necessitated the volume. Remember, the Gambia was about 500,000 people. Then it's not viable to be bringing in a lot of goods for that consumption. But what we did was to bring in the environment, an efficient port and everything else, so that we can supply the landlocked countries, not only landlocked countries, because of the policies we have. We could, most of our goods were even been imported in the Gambia and smuggled into Senegal. Now, that worked very well. To the extent of that was to be transformed to be an economic gateway. What an economic gateway means, there will be free zones. That's why the port expansion that we are still struggling with was part of the PPP program to open up the economy. They were going to create free zones, and this idea at that time was not captured by many countries that are doing it today. That was going to create, because what they're saying that they are going to make sure we have assembly plants within these zones, that free zones, that they are not going to pay tax because they're operating from the free zones. All they're doing is creating jobs, and obviously transactions wise, and money will be pumped into the economy. But these people would be assembling, and most of the goods, only the goods coming into the Gambia would be taxed, but anything else would not be. And the same thing was going to happen with the airport. You see the opportunities they were bringing up. And it was beginning of the 90s, they started the expansion program. Up to today, the anchors that the prison at the ports were put there by 1992 by the Gambian government and the Chinese, working with the Chinese. This is what we still have, and we have, we'll come to what Barrow did with that. The other aspect of opening up was tourism. Tourism was not known in the West African region. Kenya was one that we used to look up to. The other day, I was talking to a brother. He said he was one of the teams that were invited by Cape Verde when they are studying to introduce tourism. Cape Verde today are doing over 1 million tourists.
Yeah, and the terrorism has changed their country. You know,
over 1 million.
Severely, if you visit that country, it's
still,
all about tourism and tourism and tourism. Yes,
we still cannot do 300,000 tourists. And again, part of how they develop tourism, there were policies that encourage people to build small hotels. That's why if you look at the first hotels built, where the African village, this small palm groves and all these hotels were just strip of land, huts, a restaurant and functionality and so on. The Atlantic Hotel that became big, these things was 2 technical grants with the British and so on. We had something like Atlantic. Starting to have 3-star, 4-star hotels. Then they went to the Nordic countries, Denmark, Norway, and others to sponsor Kairaba, Senegambia. We started to have bigger hotels. They have a strategy. And part of that strategy too was to have a hotel school. A hotel school was introduced and people were trained, skilled people to supply. There was a strategy to develop this thing. And if 1994 did not happen, I can tell you tourism would have been transformative in the country today. That's true.
In the strategy you mentioned, I am named after Ebrima, the owner of Isamari Cinema.
Yeah.
So he was, the physical planning head that time, and he came to us to studies. He visited me here, and he told me he designed all the road project that Janneh has established, the flyovers and everything. He said everything was there. They were there. These people came. From his mouth, he was sitting in my sitting room here, and we were discussing. He said, he was involved in the drawing, in the drafting of those projects. So you see strategy that you are saying. I'm just want to buttress that case. Even when they went, that strategy has been continued. Yes, go ahead.
Now, Gambia became the first African country, apart from when South Africa was not even termed an African country because it was to have the technology to open up telecoms to what we had. Not Senegal, not any other country. They used to call second best in Africa. Do you know what they had in the First Republic? Fiber optic was already laid from Banjul to Koina on the South Bank. It was later part of the program which Yaya have executed is the North Bank one. To have this thing too. Now, that fiber, the Gamtel thing, was part of a grander plan. Because the fiber optic, today, as we know the benefit of fiber optic, TV cables are now run by fiber optic. Yeah? Internets are run by fiber optic. Means that the length and the breadth of Gambia would have been internet connected and TV channels would have been cable connected without a problem because of the infrastructure. Gamtel was performing very well. They were making so much money and they were paying dividend to the government and taking social courses. And bonuses were paid. The employees were happy. They were even paid bonuses and so on and so forth. So still, now part of that project was, the free zones I'm talking about. There will be industrial zones that would have invite the offshore banking and telemarketing. These are all things put in place in order for a broader strategy of bringing all these things together. Job creations you're talking about and other wealth and investment in other places would not have been a problem. But because I said economic prudency, they are doing things first that will lead to other things being done without bigger problems. If you come to education, almost all the schools that are in the university, were already introduced. You have the School of Public Health, the School of Nursing, School of Education, School of Agriculture, School of Orders. The only thing we didn't have was journalism. And this is what, then when Janneh came, the corruption and the political projects dismantled everything and distorted the development. Now, this is where we come into. Now, what did Janneh Burka force is Gamtel. He's raided Gamtel like nobody else. Gamtel infrastructure completely started collapsing and collapsed for that matter. And Barrow buried it. We'll come to Barrow. Now, to call up that Janneh had a university, what was that university? It was a governing body using all the infrastructures that the PPP have already designed and left there. The MDI, the GTTI, and the Gambia College, and so on and so forth. You see this thing. The TV station it's talking about, it's an absolute system he brought in just to promote himself and his ideas. But a TV station, this thing would have been built because of the fiber optic, and it would have been digital before many countries would have digital.
Yeah, Brother Ben Bibi Dago in fact said about the TV program. He's saying, you know, it was there. They think Gambia was in enough that time. Those are not priority, but the design and everything was exactly. But the strategy and unfolding that strategy, you know, trickle by trickle is so important, you know, so that you don't rush into things and fall back.
Because of, you will end up.
Yeah, he's asking about which Pa Ebrima. I say Pa Ebrima Ba, the owner, the former owner of Isamari.
I think he just passed away a few days ago.
Yes, yeah, he passed away just about few less than a year now, or a year ago. Pa Ebrima.
Now,
but my auntie is married to him anyway. So
now this is the situation. It's a distortion. Most of the projects, yes, you know the loans that Janneh took, that he really this thing was the Taiwanese loans. The so-called projects of the Arch, almost 10, I mean, which was nothing. The airport, everything else he took, the loans he took, most of it was embezzled. The projects were not worth what he claimed to have put in there. But this is what he did, very similar to what Barrow is doing. Barrow is motivated by the same thing that motivated Yahya Jammeh. Wealth, and entrench himself by political projects. In the difference here is the amount of corruption in Barrow, there's no control over it. Jammeh at least would have a benchmark that something will be achieved. It might not be excellent, but something is there. But with Barrow would end up with technically nothing there. The Barrow's greed, look at the Banyan project. Literally, it's just greed. That's why, and political project. Look at the rural roads. The same thing is the same corruption. Look at the OIC. Still, they cannot even have road signs right. And people don't understand it because of the complete project was distorted. The spending, we don't even know how much it becomes. Something that should have been $50 million now have gone over 75 and going. We don't even know, and still not finished. And still, a lot of things have not been done. A lot of things that were supposed to be done within 50 million have not been done. The level of corruption. Everything else they did, the project, the lasting effect for the OIC have been failed. Now you have an airport terminal, a VIP, who is going to use it. It's not going to generate any money. We will end up funding it again to maintain it. We have a conference center now is struggling for income. Now they're even allowing children to come and do their passing out, and still would not be enough to maintain the building. Everything has failed. But look at the institutions he inherited. One thing is Jammeh managed to bring in Gam Petroleum under state ownership because Shell company used to run it. But this time around, at least we have the Gambia Ports Authority and others to run it. And when if you know when he ran it, he was running it for himself because they made no profit, because they were scooping up the profit. But when it came back to us, within the first 3-4 years, the company was making over 200 million profit. Guess what? Now it's in debt and it's likely to collapse. Look at the ports. He have hand over a port authority that was run efficiently under the PPP. What did he do? He put in people there that will enable him. Now they sold the ports. They gave it away for peanuts because of the bribery, kickbacks he got from it, the wife, Sidinjai, and others that facilitated. Tell me one institution they made sure Julbru. We lost Julbru, and Julbru was part of the stimulus for tourism. It's gone. There's nothing he have introduced that is this thing. Agriculture is going backwards than ever.
Tourism is dead, you know.
Tourism is dead because of one, the tax, two, because of the political consideration. Ahmadba, they were meant to have these ecotourism hotels. 5 or 7, none of them built. The money vanished. Nothing came out of it. The Roots Festival still, they have no money to bring it up again. How do we expect to develop tourism? This is the failure. This is the difference. You have
these are facts. These are not made. Nobody manufacture these things. We all see the institution, how they are collapsing into pieces. But those who didn't know, Ben, I want you to you said about agriculture is falling apart. Gambia used to have a tannery industry, that exported processed hide mainly to Europe. When we were young, a lot of cows' hides were packed in trucks and trucks and trucks. And people were able to, because all the meats, we have them in the Gambia and people eat them. So that's how the level are at that time. We used to have a major suppliers. We used to be a major supplier of confectionery groundnuts to companies, Switzerland, companies such as Cadbury, Nestle, and other important countries. We used to have cotton ginneries in Basse, and exported tons and tons of cotton. Sesame, we used to have it also. We squeeze it into oil, and even flowers, rose flowers in the Gambia. Then we were exporting them until when Yaya Jammeh came and killed everything. Just let me say, in terms of how agriculture died, most of these, were destroyed under dictatorship, and Barrow didn't even care. We expect our president and our agri minister or under our agri minister to revise the productive sector. I want you to educate the young Gambian about our country's potentials under a visionary leader and how he was under Jawara's leader, because these are, very, very important sectors of our economy. We were exporting in large number to countries, Europe, Switzerland, and all those things, and Gambia was respected. But these people came and successfully, from one succession to the other, they kill it. So sometimes young people don't know where these things are coming from. I am also part of it. But a lot of us are not digging deep to come out with these things. They think nothing had happened in the Gambia. And the reservation of our reserves, nature reserves, our agriculture, all of those were there on the Jawara, and he didn't tamper up with them. Even though he knows the potential of making money out of it, but he stamped his food, and they were there until Yaya came, and Barrow has completely slaughtered them. Go ahead, Brother Ben, about these productive sectors.
As you said, colonial days, we depended in groundnut trade. I mean, little bit of groundnut processing, to bargain it, and even GPMB used to do the extraction of oil and the cake, groundnut cakes, and other stuff. But later down the time, the competitiveness and obviously mismanagement in Jawa's days, this was the late 80s, the industry started to suffer. But during the privatization, GPMB was privatized to the biggest agro-processing company in Europe, called Alimenta. Alimenta bought GPMB, and they have a strategic plan to revive the river transport of groundnuts, to revive the other sector, I mean, coal and other sectors that they use to process this thing. Unfortunately, 1994 came, and I can tell you what I know about this. At that time, they came in 1994, May 1994. I had a meeting with their corporate, one of their corporate guys, directors, because we have a printing press, and we wanted to print their materials for them. And when we had a meeting, Elijah, I can tell you, if that have gone through, the guy said, look, we could have done this cheaper in Spain, but we'll help you guys to set up, and down the line we'll have it cheaper. But for now, we want to be partners, I mean, for this to grow. They were talking about us printing on millions of sacks to open us up. Our company was called Gamprint Studios, with a friend of mine, late Babuka Itundao. You see, this was what we pitched them. And the guy was a British black called Mr. Campbell. Tells you the opportunity that was going to come with a company like that playing up. But Janneh came and seized the this thing. And what ended up is they went through the courts and they won their case, and Gambia had to settle the case. And luckily, World Bank intervened to settle that case. Since then, GPMB just collapsed. Now, but before that collapse too, they have introduced, the PPP government introduced the cotton industry, and we all know the need of cotton and exports. And again, it was working fine, and it could have been even, it's one thing even to introduce something, but to scale it up. Any government can come and pick something positive and scale that up. The same thing with the leather January thing. I had a butchery before. What we do is, when you process things at Abuko, it was under the livestock marketing board. Under the livestock marketing board, there are also unit that deals with you once you do the slaughter, and everything goes to the heights and goes to this company, and you are credited, and after a time you are paid for what they have collected. And these things and sold abroad. You see, this was another thing that could even grow, because this was seen as a byproduct of our cattle, because then now Gambians have started to eat cow kanda, because normally we don't eat cow kanda. I mean, you see, but it was seen as a byproduct. I mean, if we did not use it that way, it would have been wasted or buried, because there's so much prayer mats you can make out of it. You see, it's not that soft even to stay as a prayer mat. It was an industry, you see, and again, these things were kind of getting sufficient to create jobs, create revenue, and so on. You see, because in order for us to progress, even the cashew, we are not talking about the cashew started to be developed to a certain level. You see, I mean, most of the cashew plants you have seen planted, this thing was the agricultural department that introduced them. Later, the benefits started to come in exporters. There are so many things, Ebrima, that were done, and they could have been progressed. But
and I also remember when I was young, because of that time we have no issue of desertification.
Yeah.
But Jawara seed in Anet, the neem tree was introduced because it's a resistant plant, and it's everywhere. Most of the government headquarters in Janneh, in Mansakonko, and in Gunjur, where neem trees were also introduced. They didn't come in the Gambia by vacuum. They were introduced because they were anticipating the spread of desertification. So this is just a strategy and the vision that I'm seeing.
An initiative. Part of the Jawara initiative was this 32, the self-help. You don't realize that not only that, so many parks were demarcated, so many forests were demarcated. local districts, and you know the Nyambai and Kabafitas forest. They planted enough malina trees to the extent that they were doing it sustainably, making wood out of those malina trees. It was helping the environment and sustainable and making firewood. There was Kafuta forestry. There are so many these things, and Gambia was known to be the champion of sustainable community forest programs. You see, there were so many things being done in order to achieve this self-sufficiency or progress us. But again, the problem that hindered Jawara was political expediency, where corruption was tolerated, and we end up where we end up. But when the Janneh came, it was for the greed and political expediency, and that greed fostered corruption. It was personal. You see how he interrupted GPMB? That's the same thing he took over. You know, Gambia, livestock marketing board ended up to be Kanilai Farms. He took over. He was taking over almost everything. In case of Barrow, he's taking over almost everything by giving it to others and have his kickback. He's given the ports. He have given the Gum Petroleum. We have seen the crisis in Gum Petroleum. But do you know that Gumtel is gone? And I've been saying this. And today, someone, I don't know how related the story is. Gumtel have this fiber optic program. It's almost all over. And deliberately, this government have neglected Gumtel. They don't even have a program for Gumtel for it to get to a level that they can justify selling it for nothing to their friends, and they have their kickbacks. This is the same attitude they had with the ports. They could have put in there people who can manage ports and sustain it and develop it how they want. But that's not what he wants. He wants quick money out of it. And now we have seen Gumtel going that way. And I'm telling you, now it is going through the same route. Once they are going to demarcate the water side, and that is going to go to a company, and that company, I can tell you, Barrow would have influence on that company, and next would be the electric side. You see, what do we own as assets in the Gambia anymore? Nothing. What is productive for Gambians anymore? Nothing. But look at the wealth Barrow have generated. Why do you think Barrow would use a businessman like Mohammed Dia to build his retirement home, which is going into tunes of millions of dollars? And he doesn't want people to talk about it. You see, this is the level we are. But you ask yourself, why is he getting away with it? This is what we talked about before. Because of we citizens are not dealing with the way we should do. We are either divided, we are either not effective in attracting stuff. We are easily, he can easily distract us. Because all he has to do is make it about UDP, make it about Dabo, and people will forget about it. Okay, look at the mega bank.
Yeah, but we are coming to the mega bank now, because you raised that an open Gambia, but before we go to that, we saw the death of 7 NAREC/KEI workers. May God forgive their souls, and enter them into paradise. They were workers, but they were electrocuted, a few days ago. Mm-hmm. According to what's on Gambia, a group of elders, including the Supreme Islamic Council former one, visited the village of Nyama and Salum, and they went with 150,000 to give them. And on top of that, Ben, with a document for families to sign, asking the families to accept the death of the 7 workers as the will of God, to sign the document. And will waive all legal action in relation to the incident. Why these elders with the former head of the chair of the Supreme Islamic Council? 2, why has the IGP formally launched a criminal investigation? And 3, who are they protecting here and playing with the life of Gambians, Gambian citizens, Brother Ben.
Okay, let me first explain who they're protecting here. They're protecting NAWEC as the National Electric Company. Alaji, this is how contracts work. If a corporate body issue out a contract, they still have responsibility to ensure, especially a contract that have safety features. Just as if a corporate company issue out a contract, which will become a project, they will ensure that the financial assessments, environment, and all those assessments are done, isn't it? It's the same. It's the same when it comes to safety. Now, NAWEC contracted this to KEI Industries, an Indian firm. And the Indian firm subcontracted to BB Electrical, a smaller company, to do this civil engineering work. Now, what corporate governance dictate is, force the company that you contract, you ensure that they are fit for purpose. Especially when it comes to safety, they have a safety record, their projects they've done on all these things, you do the due diligence. And when they are implementing the project, you have an oversight on that project through consultancies, and even your parent engineers would have this thing in it. On the project side, where BB Electrical is given part of the implementation, before they start any work, a risk assessment would be carried out for safety. If they carry out the risk assessment, they will carry out a method. To explain how that risk will be mitigated. That's what they call a ramp. It's a documented this thing. You have a ramp. A risk assessment will be done, and method. The method of mitigating the risk will be this thing before Gampel will sign off for them to carry out the work. This is a mechanism put in place. This is the general standard, so that safety of the people, the duty of care you have for your employees or the people working there and the general public. You know, people think that the safety is only for the employees. No. If this thing, for God forbid, if this thing happened in Banyan, Serakunda, or populated, this thing, the casualty were not only likely to be the workers. You see, that's why when you do the assessment, this is what you take into consideration. What if, what distance, what should I do this? Should I stop people coming through here? Should I do this? Should I do this? If this pole fall off, where is it gonna, this thing? And you put an exclusion zone. What the pole, does it have, conductor? It's a conductor. Is it gonna pull? These are things. The equipment of the people, that even that have to be factored in the ramp, that they make sure they are in this gear, because it reduces this or it does that. Are they going to walk on a platform that is insulated? You see, that's have to be done. Then NAWEC had a responsibility to that. But I can tell you one thing, NAWEC have zero health and safety mechanism in place when they carry out. Because most of what they do, in fact, they subcontract it, and they think that they don't have this thing. It's sad that this thing would happen. But again, for the group that went to the family, bereaved family, it's fraudulent and it's criminal. It's ruthless. Did you realize that they did not put a letterhead?
No letterhead. Yes.
Yes, because they know what they're doing was not right. But I can tell you, if they had collected all the signatures, magically a letterhead will, anything that will make this thing authentic would be there. Because you can see the wording, they want to insulate themselves not to be taken for this thing. And where should, if NAWEC as the principal contractor and had responsibility, they would have known that this thing is taking place. They don't have to send a part of the delegation, but they would have known. And if you read along the lines, it says We hereby acknowledge and appreciate the role and conduct of his employees, namely BB Electrical, the contractor MSKIG Industry Limited, as well as the principal, the National Water and Electric Corporation, NAWEC, during these hours of our grief. They mention them because they are writing this on behalf of, as if the families wrote it. They did not provide a lawyer for the families to make sure, even some transaction you make sure, oh, let me make sure advantage is not taken. They will will get them an independent lawyer to look after their interests. They know what they're doing. And Alaji, is sad that the competent authorities would, if they conduct this investigation, the most lenient thing that NAWEC would be held for corporate negligence, but in fact probably more severe than that, and all the other entities too would be charged similarly. But Gamtel will have to produce, and I can tell you there are absence of ramps. They did not have the documentation. And if you go into the investigation further, Alaji, this is not the first time it happened. The other 2 times, I'm not sure whether someone have died or not. But a part of what they expected of is they should question to ask, where's your accident reports? Because in on site, even if you have a mere miss, or that could have been severe death or this thing, you should report it. And something have to be done about that to avoid it happening again. This is why I'm telling Gambians, this is not only showing empathy to the victims, but this is for the future as well. If we don't deal this properly, it will affect. And the compensation is very important. It's not only what is due to the family, but against corporate governance, what hurts them more is their profit. It will make sure other companies would think twice when they're doing things, make sure they do it right. And the other thing is, ask for the training. You'll be surprised that the training given to these people are not fit for purpose, or are they, especially when it comes to health and safety. Now, what are you going to investigate here? The duty of care, or whether the right procedure, standard of health and safety have been followed. And you will find out that it had not. But they have been starting from the beginning, try to distance themselves. Oh, they are not NAWEC employees. I had even some people say, oh, they are not electricians, they are laborers, as if it matters. They have an ultimate responsibility. It's their project. They gave out the contracts, and they should have made sure these people, they did their due diligence, make sure it's effectively implemented. I like Ibrahim.
Thank you so much, Ben. Gambians sometimes, as what Ben you said, this is not about the people that have gone only. This is about the future generation. Things are happening. We are not holding institutions accountable, and they keep doing the same mistakes and main mistakes, and it costs lives, it costs money, it costs people who will be disabled for the rest of their life. And just a mockery to go to send some elderly people, I don't know what type of elderly people these are, 150,000, and they said you should accept these as a will of God, but you have to sign these to safeguard somebody from taking the responsibility.
I won't blame the imam and the elders for one reason. It's a mindset. For them, they might not know the legal implications. For them, they would think, because this is what happened in our community. If someone dies in an accident, the person, matters here, would send religious leaders. Thinking they might not even read the paper. They don't know what's in it.
What is in? Yeah.
Thinking that they're just doing their services as religious elders. Going there to commemorate these things with the belief and give something just their normal give. I don't think they are in it.
Yeah, brother Ben. The thing is, the same elders and religious people are being used by Yaya, and the commission came. They reported to the commission. At least, most of these people who are there are former educated people who retired, who has once been called to the commission. At least something should click to them. Yeah. But to go with a document that we went with this for you to sign is just unbelievable. But anyway, brother Ben, you mentioned about the mega bank. and we saw Honorable Usaini Dabu also pick it up and raise it up. Can you tell us more about Megabank, including the fraud, and why there seems to be a cover of protecting the alleged fraudsters or corruption and the whole issue around Megabank? Educate us about it, please.
Thank you very much. So far, Megabank used to be, I think, a Nigerian bank called Keystone Bank or Keystone or something. And what happened is, I think during the regulating the banks, that they are not liquid to be taken over, or so on. They run into trouble. Let's say the bank run into trouble. And the central bank, being the supervisory institution, they took over the bank and refinanced the bank and named the bank Mega Bank. Yeah. Under their control, they put capacity into the bank, open more branches and stuff like that, and start trading. But even during the time the bank was with the central bank, there was kind of a big corruption of loans and given to certain people, preferable loans which were not adequately guaranteed and stuff like that going on. But still, the bank was performing and it was viable. If you remember, the central banks used to have a governor called Bakari Janneh.
Yeah. I remember.
And if you check in the archives, the process started when Bakari was there to sell Megabank. And at that time, we talked about it. We've learned that Bakari was not happy the way Barrow wanted it to be done. Then Barrow found a way of removing Bakari and trying to appoint him as trade minister. Bakari refused to take that job, and he was paid off his contract and he left unquietly. Boisedi came in and they started to work on this. The person of interest here is Kalulu Wage. From the beginning, 2017, Kalulu started looking at Megabank. And when Bakari was there, he was one of the people trying to push to the bank to be sold, and he had interest in it. And hence Bakari, they could not have it done on the Bakari's thing. They move it on to Bois to pick it up. For my investigation from the central bank right now, they said to me, even if they come out to parliament, they will be lying to parliament. He said it's the governor, senior finance ministry, and senior bank officers know the details of this. They have some details are known, but the entire detail is sworn in secrecy. Why? Remember the first trip of Barrow to Congo, he went with Kalulu Wage.
What? Yeah.
And when they went there, it was money laundering. This was a few weeks after he was sworn in. When he left that time, even his foreign affairs ministry did not know of that trip.
Yes.
And when we raised it, it was this thing. And recently, I think last year or early this year, he was in Congo again.
Oh.
Yeah, that Barrow is in Congo. The people that bought, this thingy, the 1 minute,
yeah,
are Congolese.
Mm.
They are Congolese. Now, wow, just a minute. Someone said to me, thanks your comment about Megabank are interesting, given that there are strong indications that the man himself may be part of the shareholdings, and this would be being very easily to arrange before completion of acquisition. The person who wrote this to me knows what he's talking about. He's a banker. Yes. He said to me, I believe you are aware that the chairman is a Cameroonian, ex-CEO of UBA DRC, whilst the CEO is a Congolese, ex-CRO of the same. They were colleagues up to 2019, 2020, when they resigned to pursue other oppressions in Cameroon and Djibouti before the Cameroonian brought the Congolese brought the Congolese into Megabank. We see, and there's more details.
Yes.
There is the second group of ex-UBA executives who are in the banking sector as board and senior management level. The first group are running Bloom's Bank, Africa, Gambia, ex-Sky Bank. You see, there's so much of information in this. But they are sworn in secrecy about this. Because of Kalulu Wage, most likely brought these people, and there might be a partnership somewhere, we don't know. Whether Kalulu would be the partner or Barrow would be partner with someone else, looking after. There are so many dodges. But as we understand that the bank is undervalued and sold to these people, in arrangements. That's why Barrow doesn't want to talk about it. But again, who else? You see, because of UDP is talking about it, it seems other opposite party would not be interested.
They're not interested. Yes. And Barrow thinks this is UDP issues and he's distracting everything.
Then I can easily.
He should have been in prison. He should have, because And
let me deflect. He's deflecting it let it be about me and Dabo.
Yes.
And Gambian is that's the way he controls Gambia. But this tells you now why Barrow doesn't want to leave power. You see, that's why I said we have failed governance.
Yeah.
And we all know the danger of someone lacking legitimacy to govern. This is what happened to Macky Sall. Now everything is coming out in the open. Everything that the opposition have accused him, even is bigger than what we thought.
What we expected, yes.
And this is the same thing that's going to happen with Barrow. Right here in Hall, the first lady auntie is buying properties, renovating it, and running it, and trying to pretend as it's her money, it's our money. And all these things will come to declare. A forensic audit on all these people will surprise Gambians how much these people took away from us. Sidinjai and others are buying properties everywhere. Where do they get the money? It's not their salary.
No.
It's not their allowance. It's not their per diem. It's the kickback they have by selling our assets.
Brother Ben, this is really, really sad. I hope Gambians are listening. We know manufacturing these. I thought Gambians are intelligent people. We should look for our common good and make sure that country is governed well. Once that country is governed well, all of us will benefit. And we will, banquet, we will leave something for our tomorrow generations, hope that they will not suffer like we are suffering today. Brother Ben, the Ministry of Basics and Secondary Education has been without a minister for months. No school improvement grants have been provided, textbooks and other essential learning materials are lacking. Teachers' salaries are sometimes late or very late. Many classrooms, if there is anything, they are inadequately furnished. We saw pictures in the WhatsApp Gambia. Students are sitting on the mat with corrugated iron sheets around them. We saw 88 students out of nearly 30,000, 29,936 scores, aggregate 6 into 2024. Is it Gambia say? This is a national disaster. And is MOBSE bankrupt? And if yes or no, why do you think you give your answer, Brother Ben?
Alaji is lack of giving priority.
Yeah.
Alaji, see, corruption is just dangerous.
Yes.
When we look at corruption, at times people just look at it in monetary terms. But the consequences of corruption is about putting people in the wrong place. And what that brings in incompetency. The country today is governed in a very incompetent way. I give you an example. They are not telling you the facts on why the Secretary General, yes, she is due for retirement, But everybody knows, I mean, the administration knows when she was due to retirement. Why there's no replacement? I mean, but no, they have to get the chief of staff to step in for that. You see the way they're running these things? They're running this as afterthoughts. The Ministry of Basic Education is a very important ministry, but not to them. Because anything does not affect them directly, they don't care. Their children don't go there. Go and find out an audit. You'll not find none of these people's children go to public schools. They will not even go to our public university. It doesn't affect them. Why can't we appoint a minister the next 2 days? Is it that difficult to find a minister?
No, it's not difficult at all. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
You see? Now, as I said, priority. Alaji, how can they not have funds for something that is budgeted?
Definitely.
It's budgeted.
It is budgeted.
It's budgeted. And the budget is run from December, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, how come they don't have funds? But they have funds to pay the pardons and everything, the Dusanos, the Lamin Chams, and any other non-entity they want to take to Umrah, or they want to take to New York, they travel there.
With expensive cars.
Recently, the president is going on holiday, but do we know how much it costs us? I can tell you why it's going to cost us much. Because he did ask for project vehicles to be delivered for his holiday. Why does he need the public vehicle for his holiday? Because he's going for a jamboree. He's going to run around the villages to prove to believe that he's a president. Because he cannot be popular in the urban areas where people are more aware. He has to go around the villages.
The villages, yes.
That's why he has all his vehicles taken there. Vehicles will be using petrol. These vehicles will do for maintenance. Cost of maintenance, everything. The drivers will be paid per diem, and other people will be paid per diem for travel staying around there. But what about the errands for a month? Those vehicles were meant to run for those projects.
Definitely.
You see the cost? Because this is his priority. You see, that's why I said the teachers too would need to use their unions to put pressure on government. Alaji, imagine school maintenance fund.
Yeah.
And apparently I'm made aware that even chalk is part of this fund for the blackboards.
Yes,
and other things you need, and books and so on are part of the funds. You're saying that the kids are going for a full time without funds? Because we know that they don't keep excess funds.
No.
Now, what are you telling us? You don't care. But where's the outrage, Alaji? It shouldn't be an opposition outrage.
No, it's we easily blame opposition. Exactly. What is happening in Kenya is not opposition led. Yeah. It's youths, that know the impact of the decision of the government that's affecting them and their future.
Yeah. You see, they don't care. And Alaji, you look at, the statistics you read now about 80 students out of 30,000 scoring aggregate 6. Yeah. If you analyze that implication, Alaji, how many of those are from public schools?
Probably
Technically,
0 or less. Maybe 3/4 of the 88 students.
No.
Exactly.
Most of these students are from missions and Ahmadiyya schools.
Yes.
The others are from private schools.
Private schools, yes.
Probably 1 or 2 or 3 will be from public school. Extremely intelligent people. It's only few that will be from public school. Now, if the 80%, if that percentage, 80, passes after 30,000, what is going to capture? The rest, what they're going to do? Definitely. And the sad thing is that because it's not a fair measure of these people's potential. They are not prepared for this. Now, what about, we are only talking about people that attempted the exams, but do we know how many dropped out before attempting the exams?
Yeah, definitely.
This is a big population. And how far, we're talking about the best here. how did the people in rural areas perform? And this will point to a failure. And I tell you, our vocational schools don't have the capacity to teach them something viable. They are underfunded.
Mm-hmm.
And again, these are all lack of priority. Now, the same government with all this failure, how do you expect to have extra 4 universities? Where are you going to get the students to those universities? You see, again, the priority should be secondary, basic and secondary education. But you realize that even in the draft that Barrow designed, they don't want to guarantee the secondary education because it's not affecting their children. They don't want to have that aspiration, non-statement, to entwine the resources needed to guarantee this. Now, how can that economy develop when the students are failing? Tell me any country that have developed from poverty, developed without prioritizing education.
No country, and no country at all. No country at all.
Look at the example in Rwanda. The minute they prioritize education, what happened? The private school closed.
Yeah. And they start teaching them skills and all those things. Yeah. This is not 80%, 88 students out of nearly 30,000. 88
students.
That's 29,936 people.
Yeah.
Only 88 people get score aggregate 6. Aggregate 6.
Yeah. You see, this is the problem we're facing now. Now, you wonder, why do we have so many youths taking the back way? Do you wonder how much youths are now succumbed to drugs and, criminality and all that? If you fail in education, social mobility, education is the key to social mobility.
It is equalized.
We have seen it among ourselves. All the people that did well in education, had a success rate in life.
Exactly.
In many ways. And again, we are only talking of people going to public school, the English curriculum, whatever you call it. What about how many thousands of children now are attending Arabic schools? Mm-hmm. Do we know their performance? Do we invest in them? And they should not be let alone.
We don't invest in them at all, Brother Ben. These are staggering and these are scary statistics.
Where is the development here? How are we going to develop? And you see, and that's the sad part. It's not that we don't have the resources. If you look at all these areas we talk about, Gamtel ports, and all, just look at what is happening in area councils.
Definitely.
Millions.
Definitely.
And if you look at corruption here is one they steal $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't stolen $1 million, That $1 million, if it was invested,
they can the
impact.
Yeah. Because look at the cars, the 6 to 12 million. If that invest in rural communities in their education, the classrooms, they will not be sitting on mats. How many people are in one of the classrooms? I was a teacher. Average class will get 42 people to 45 to 60 people sometimes.
The assessment for it's 2 frames that you assess the access to education and quality education, and you cannot assure quality education when you have overflowing classes.
Oh no, you can't.
Or on one teacher,
you can't.
You see, these are all the things being addressed in other countries that have advanced. And investing in education is investing in a productive sector. There are high returns. Today, as I keep on saying, Gambians are refined. When Gambians go out or perform in many areas, you see, even if they are limited in education, their performance is high. Mm-hmm. That's why they lead many organizations, or they be top of running or many organizations. And any Gambian that reach to a certain thing, that person would be putting back far more to that, their community, their country, than anything you think of.
But,
Now,
then our grade six used to be, equivalent to other developed countries' university level.
yeah,
And it was the jewel of Africa, and it produced fantastic Gambians who are managing international organizations all over the world. Brother Ben, the Gambia is facing a severe shortage of magistrates. You raising serious concern about the increasing backlog of cases. Courts in different regions are frequently forced to adjourn proceedings due to lack of available magistrate. There are reports that numerous magistrates are resigning, citing poor salaries, overwhelming workload, and deteriorating work conditions. With all the law students graduating, why the severe shortage of magistrates and the implication for our country? Can the Justice Minister do anything about the situation facing the magistrate and the country under his leadership? Brother Ben, your thought?
You see, this is the same thing happening in schools.
Yes.
Many people are graduating bachelors in education, ATCs. They rather go and be a cashier. They'll be better paid and they will have their time. Because to be a good teacher is time consuming. Your work doesn't stop at the classroom. You see? And your career prospect as a teacher is not much. You see, and the more difficult this is, you see, that's why if you fail to deliver your economy, this is what happens. People run to go to where, survive the fittest, where they can survive, and you will not blame them. Now, the other failure of this government was to reform the criminal justice system. And what did they do with it? Nothing. My brother Hassan Diallo have completely failed. To today, it's almost 7 years. Go and look at our remand win. Still backlog of cases and everything else. If this government have prioritized, and they are getting rid of Mile 2, and they want to transfer the inmates to those ones, because they want Mile 2 to go to the ports development. Because they are not, they don't take the need to rehabilitate offenders seriously.
Wow.
Seriously. Now, there are many factors. The courts could have been digital now. It's not difficult to do that.
No.
Would it make, you see, there are many things that white people want to do a job or would not want to do the job. If it becomes very difficult for me as a magistrate to do my job, I'll try and look for another job that's easier. You see, people want to think that it's only how much they get paid. No, it's the facilities that they should be having.
Exactly.
You see, and the that too is an investment. Investment should have been done in criminal justice because it's imperial. You cannot have a progressive society without a progressive, judicial system. But go today, they're still using long hand.
Yeah, the magistrates are writing with their hands throughout the court proceedings.
Yeah.
Daily.
Go and look at the facilities. Now what is happening? There are more now foreign judges coming, foreign this thing, and they will become mercenary judges. The reason they're coming here, most of them, because they if they were worth something, they would have stayed.
Yes.
They are coming, and next minute, the only thing that would make them comfortable would be taking backhanders. And again, if our justice fail, our nation fail.
Yeah, but with Hassan Diallo's caliber, with his experience from Jawara time to international level, with all due respect to the elderly state man, but these things are falling apart. He should
completely.
Things like basic things like tables and chairs are falling apart as it is in the classroom. That's how it is in the magistrate court.
Yeah.
Even decent bosses to take them, because it's Birikama, Bundung, Banjul, Kanifing. There can be very decent bosses that transport lawyers and all the magistrates from one place in the air-conditioned bosses. Go ahead.
You see the opportunity we have during the transition. I can tell you, there could have been so much coming in to do these things, but it's just mere incompetence. Because once you are in a transition, To make a case for criminal justice transformation is easy. And Gambia is a small country. You see, that's why Gambia should be able to achieve certain things due to the size of or what you ask for. Where countries will ask for 15 billion to do things, 50 million to do things, you might just need 5 million. There are many things they could have done. They could have provided residence. They could have provided, because to keep them a long time. These are Gambians. Some of them, the cost of residence. Arrange mortgages. Arrange, as you said, facilities for this thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Some court premises can even be housed them. There are many things that could be done. And all magistrates shouldn't be lawyers.
Yes, yes.
Many magistrates.
Yes. And that's what they do. They now regretting, they're reverting to be lawyers instead of magistrate.
Yeah.
Because of they can make twice more than what they are doing at the bench. Than
running around.
Yeah, but to the detriment of the poor.
Because if you don't give the dignity, if you don't put dignity in that place, people don't want to.
No.
Same thing. I was explaining the other day. That's why I said, you see, if you have to do reforms, institutional reforms, you have to have the social reforms as well. They go hand in hand. People come from societies to do these things. You don't expect people broken in society to come and do well in institutions. For instance, I was talking about in those days, teachers. It's not how much they were paid, it's the dignity in teaching. But that dignity is reduced to nothing.
Yeah.
People had pride to be teachers. People were celebrated as teachers. But now, if you cannot even afford, this is the problem. And like, Ebrima, how much dollars do you need to have your basics now?
Definitely.
You are not going to steal chocks to do it.
No.
Private studies would not give it to you, because if you have to finish school and go and conduct private studies, you are stuck the classroom.
Yeah, but you go to provinces. I was at provinces, and as a teacher, as a young teacher, you give yourself selflessly for private classes, but nobody will going to pay you a dime for that. You don't even have an accommodation to go into. While you are there, sometimes I remember I was sleeping at the headmaster's quarter. His sitting room, and he's only one room, and I was sleeping there the whole of the time because I couldn't have a place where I can go. So yeah, Brother Ben, finally, with all these problems that we are saying, President Barrow credited his government strong democracy and tolerance in the Gambia. That the Gambia is in a better condition than any time under the previous leaderships. Unprecedented infrastructural development never seen in the country, according to him before. Is this a fair diagnosis of the current realities of the country? And what should be your response to let me leave the next one today. Let me leave. And what did Barrow achieve? What
would he
look at and say, at least this is what
he have achieved all this? Why does he still want to run? If you achieve this in 2 terms when you are not even supposed to run for a full term, why you still want to run? Do you know why? Because he knows that if he is not president, he'll be a criminal. He'll be locked up.
Oh.
Where's the infrastructure development? You all seen the problems the OIC roads are causing us.
Yes.
How much did it cost us? He still cannot tell you how much it cost. Now, there are a lot of new flooding happening. It's because of the way they build the road without drainage. And that road should have drainage. That road should have overhead crossings. There are so many things that should have been on that road. There should have been more than one roundabout. But because of cut corners, and they still spending money, they can't even put the signs properly. Because the signs were not supposed to be obstructing if there were overhead crossings. And you see the gutters. You see what they term as a drainage. That whole this gutter they put steps in there. Are people going to walk inside the gutter to get out? And people think that this is all a design. No, it's because of it's an afterthought. They are not following something they design. If you have a concept of what you want to do and you design it, you implement it right. But you not because of you have a concept, you design it, and the funding went another way, you struggle to implement what you meant to implement. Now the roads are high up there, and what there are no drainage to collect the water, because water should be collected and transported and deposited. This is what a drainage does. Now, if you create this high thing and you create a ditch, not a drainage, a ditch that collects the water and transport the water, but did not create the depositing of water, then you create a problem. It's going to be deposited places that you don't want to be. This is what we have seen in Burful. Burful Kankans are complaining that their homes have never flooded. But since they built the road, their homes are flooded because the water is coming into their thing. You go to civic area, they're complaining the same thing. You go to many areas along the OIC roads, they are flooded because of the water collected along the OIC roads. Are just transported, and there's no specific place or dictated to go and be deposited. It's been deposited in people's homes. This is why these Serakuda areas and all those areas are flooded. Look at what I said I saw today, I think it's what's on Gambia. The road in around Fatoto, flooded, completely submerged because of this thing. Where is the projects? Where are the projects? What did you do with our port authority? What do we do? What did you do with Gamtel? What did you did with Gampetrol? What did you did with Megabank? He's still gonna talk about that. Why did you take this home, property, government property, and want to make it a retirement home? What's the success of the OIC? The conference center is here now, draining is going to be drained on us. The VIP lounge, how many VIPs are going to land and go in there? It's going to be a drain on us. Where's the infrastructure? Gambians are not better off today than yesterday. The improvement, as I said, is something that we fought and put you there. You see, God have ways to do things, Imagine if Barrow was not transported to Senegal. If someone who we have to rescue, he's still saying that I did this. Imagine if he had stayed in the country. Imagine.
But Brother Ben, in the wake of all this, what's your advice to Gambians generally?
Ibrahim, let me say this.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Gambians, we will not organize. I don't expect us to organize. Things will happen by default. If I talk to people, I tell them this to give them hope. I said, look, this one thing that Barrow will do and his government. That's another thing that Gambians with the leadership would not do, but that's one thing God does. And because of what Barrow is doing, things are getting worse. We have seen what he's done to Nawik because of corruption. Now, I can tell you, every Gambian is affected. People supported him, people who don't support him, people who support him because they don't want to support others, or everything else. It's like the ground has been prepared. If we organized, I can tell you it's possible political parties to bring out the change. There are many ways that will happen. It's possible. We don't have time for that. If Barrow have not even won the last elections, when he have more to debate, he did not win that elections alive. And I'm telling you, I saw today, they said that the police brought out a press release to say that they are investigating audit reports for IEC. Think about that. Ibrahim, the police did not say that they investigated the audit report for the COVID. Audit report we have for airport, the tax. Audit report for, how many audit reports?
Numberless.
Why IEC? Why IEC? Because you see, elections are prepared in advance. What Barrow wants to do with IEC? I'm not saying that they might not be. There are financial malpractice everywhere. But why IEC prioritized with all the other reports that came out before IEC? You see, now there's no other thing that's improving in the country. Is we can organize ourselves. That's what I prefer. Organize ourselves. But organizing ourselves, what it does is for the credibility of our democracy. So that elections is not only that you will win it by the ballot, that more people voted for you. No. It's a developing country. If PASTEF did not do their homework well, they were not going to give them the first round. They were going to let them go second round and they will gang up on them. Because there are so many things they had to do. But they had to do well before elections. Even with all the attacks going on them, they had teams working on certain things to monitor the elections, to prepare and ready to defend that. But as divided as opposition we are, what you see the government doing, they are recruiting more soldiers, they are recruiting more PIU. Why this time around I am particular about soldiers? There are information coming that the people they are selecting from certain backgrounds in order to be loyal to Barrow. This is very dangerous. Just as Yahya Jammeh used to do. That even his mother will have a list. The PIU, we already know, we already seen what they have been doing, and they are recruiting more from there. Now, it's easy to isolate the main opposition party. That's why if all the small parties come together, there will be another arm of the opposition. Now, this is because some opposition, small opposition, thinking that I'm not benefiting, I'm not gonna be bothered. But if now they also have hope and that they can win elections, I think it'll be more competitive and we can hold our democracy accountable. And the IC will be held accountable and Barrow will be held accountable to make sure that whoever wins will go. That is when we are organized. But I can tell you something might happen. Because of the deteriorating situation and lack of leadership from the opposition, there's the system the way things are going, it's not sustainable. There might be a catalyst. The people will come out and soldiers might take over the country. A catalyst that things might be very bad, soldiers might take their own initiative and take over the country. Alaji, these are not something I predict that I like, but it's based on assessing situations, and as we see it happen in other countries.
In Mali, people came out and soldiers took advantage. Yes, yeah.
And this is what happens. You see, this is what we want to avoid. We prefer a peaceful change of government. We prefer a democratic change of government. We prefer our institutions to be competitive, to be competent, so that we can progress. Because this disruption of change are not going to bring out progress. It's just going to take us back, and we are going to struggle again to build a democracy. As I said, people might disagree. We don't have a democracy now. No, they are trying to suppress that democracy, but we still have it. That's why today Mahdi Jabati is not in prison, because he is fighting, and some are fighting with him, and the international is watching. The reason many people are not in prison today, it's not that Barrow doesn't want to send them to prison. It's because of the systems are still hold a check. But the desperation to stay in power will make him do things that we never thought would happen. And again, the example of that is Macky Sall. Nobody thought Macky Sall would recruit mercenaries, give them weapons, import weapons to the state house. This is something we hear from dictators.
And we have to close it there. Nearly 2 hours. He's saying that people like Hussein Udabo, what he did or whatever, he should be in jail. So it's just like his mercy. He's very kind. That's why he didn't put him in one place.
But You know that,
Exactly, you know.
but that statement have exposed him, because we know
Yes.
that Sunday haven't done anything to go to jail.
Exactly. We know it's some
I
of
mean,
the things that you said
people
explosive.
are saying,
So
yeah.
then, thank you so much. This is 2 hours. We hope we can go, but time definitely is not there for us. You know, the Gambia we all see is in the cliff edge. You know, and it seems the poor people in power don't care about us. You know, and the clique of business people, the people in power, and politicians are in control, milking the society. This is not going to be sustainable. We can all sit down in our corners and have our chebujens and benakins and all those things and our attire, but we know this country is cruising into an abyss. At some point, we need to organize ourselves and tell Barrow, thank you so much. You know, but we don't want the Gambia to disintegrate or to regress into chaos, you know, for the benefit of our own self, our investments, our property, and our future. You know, if not, the status quo cannot continue. Something is going to happen one way or the other. It might not be what we desire, but things cannot go like this because Gambia, there seems to be no control in anywhere. People who are favored, the 1% of the population, are getting richer and richer. Everybody else is getting poorer and hungrier and sicker on a daily basis. People are dying, people are taking drugs. Things are so disorganized to the extent that it's scary. Whoever you are, you think you are enjoying in your mansions. When people are desperate, they are going to come for you in your mansions. Your nice houses are going to be battered one way or the other if people are there. That's why instability does. So for that being the case, we can transition in a smooth and democratic way for the sake of ourselves, for the sake of our properties, for the sake of our investment, for the sake of our country, so that we don't regress into chaos. Once again, thank you wherever you are, you know, for listening, for having patience for 2 hours in listening to us. But definitely it's worth it. Your education, the lessons that you can glean from these discussions, you cannot get them in any university. Once again, thank you to our CEO, Lamin Janneh, for patiently after work, you know, producing this program. You know, for 2 hours, he just came from work and jumped on and producing this program. Thank you so much, Video Online. Thank you, Brother Ben, as always. You deserve too much respect, and everybody, whether they agree with you or not, respect you because of your consistency, your love for Gambia, and your stand for your steadfastness to truth and the general good of everybody. Thank you once again, and good night to all of you. Thank you.